Okay, so my first question to you, Paul, is I wondered if you could explain to me what the difference between mindfulness and concentration is from a Buddhist perspective, because I've often heard them used quite interchangeably in the media, and also by people, some people use what they call mindfulness for things like more focused productivity in business, or as a way to achieve other life goals such as winning in sport or losing weight, or just even to de-stress.
Yeah.
Or de-stress rather than distress. So could you perhaps start off by explaining your view on that?
Yeah. Mindfulness and concentration are two different mental qualities. So it really helps to understand what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is simply awareness. So as long as you're paying attention to what's being said now, you are technically mindful. There is mindfulness present. So mindfulness can be very general, or it can be very specific. So you can be simply mindful of, say, sitting in a chair or something, or listening to the birds singing, or it can be a focused mindfulness on a particular object. That focusing of that awareness is concentration, right?
Okay.
So concentration is your awareness, is a choiceless awareness of what is present. And concentration is then just focusing that awareness to a specific point, to one-pointedness. So take the example of, I know you've talked to me before about a tennis player who uses what he calls mindfulness.
Correct.
In high-pressure points during a game. And he focuses on the tennis ball.
Correct.
So what he's actually employing is both mindfulness and concentration.
Okay.
Right? So he's concentrating on the ball so that he doesn't have any thoughts arise during that time that might put him off. You know, if it's the point to win the match and the thought arises, if I win this point, I win the match, that can put him off. As far as I understand, that's the kind of general...
Yes, I suppose it's the mental chatter that goes with the not living in the moment.
Yeah.
So projecting what might happen in the future, or what has happened in the past, you know, and you could use an analogy in business,
lose.
Or anything else, even perhaps trying to lose weight or something. If you're eating mindfully, you're very focused on what you're eating and you're enjoying it. You're not just kind of stuffing chocolate in your face while you're walking around town and not even noticing you're eating.
Okay, good. So there is, during that period of focus, the mind is not attending to those other habitual kind of routines. So, to give the example of the tennis player, because he's focusing on that, he's not focusing on anything else, he's not focusing on the past, he's not focusing on the future. And so in order to do that, you need that awareness, but you also need the focus, because you don't want the mind drifting off to other things. Now, so it's not so much, it's a difference in mindfulness or concentration so much, it's a difference in your aspiration. So somebody who practices mindfulness are taught to pay attention to the breathing, say, to the exclusion of everything else. Then what they're actually practicing ultimately is a concentration exercise. They're using mindfulness to help get concentrated, so that for that period of time there aren't unwanted thoughts. There aren't, the neurotic, selfish preoccupations that people normally go in for at that time. They just let it go. Now, the difference with Buddhist mindfulness is that you're not attempting to avoid looking at those neurotic tendencies. You want to understand all about them, because Buddhist mindfulness is about generating clear comprehension in every aspect of our conscious experience, including all the unwanted thinking processes.
So it's almost the opposite of trying to block out thoughts. It's almost
trying
to
block out.
Recognise them and accept them and examine them.
Yeah, and understand the process by which they arise, their true characteristics, and that's essentially what we call wisdom, developing the wisdom into understanding our own minds. So there is that little bit of a sort of crashing together of cultures there, because I do understand that anybody who is able to block out inefficient, unwanted thinking is going to have a more effective mind that's capable of focusing and generating whatever kind of results that you want to generate, undoubtedly. So it's not denying the efficacy of that. But specifically Buddhist mindfulness isn't about generating results in that way. It's more about generating a wisdom that comes with you day by day, gradually developing, expanding, so you have a far more wise and understanding approach to life and all its dilemmas, really.
I think that leads me on to another question that wasn't actually my second question.
Okay.
So I'd like to ask what the difference is between brain training and progress on the path to enlightenment, which I'm now starting to think is quite a similar topic, and perhaps a misunderstanding of my understanding of what mindfulness is. But if I just ask this question, what I mean by it is unpicking conditioning, which is essentially layers of learned behaviour, in the same way that anyone who's trying to give up any habit would do that. So, for example, trying to replace automatic grooved responses with different ones because they're less painful, and that could lead to more positive outcomes for the student. So are they simply stifling real-world natural reactions at a mundane level? And is that not brain training, therefore, rather than progress on the path?
Well, you see, progress on the path is very interesting because it contains elements of reconditioning the mind, definitely. Because one of the things about mindfulness is we've all got an inherent intelligence. It's not like we're trying to develop something we don't have. We're just trying to utilise an aspect of our minds that we don't normally utilise. And that's this ability to be wise and understand what's going on. And so you have to be prepared to look at all that unwanted stuff. If you're going to be effective in reconditioning the mind from an inefficient response to an efficient response to some issue, then you have to firstly accept the existence of the inefficient response. You have to fully comprehend that indeed these kinds of mental thought processes do arise, and seeing in real time that actually they are unhelpful, to devalue them, and that's what allows you to then introduce a different way of dealing with a issue, is that you have first accepted that you have an inefficient way of dealing with it, and you know that it's inefficient, that it doesn't work, and it leads to pain. And so you're more able then to put it down, having accepted it. Because if you resist it, if you say, "Oh no, I shouldn't be neurotic. I shouldn't have this irritation. I shouldn't have this frustration," it only grows and gets stronger. So you first have to accept it. That's what we mean by choiceless awareness, the acceptance of what you find. And then there's that intelligence that goes, "Oh, I don't want to be doing that. I've learned that that's not a very good way of doing things. Let's see if I can try the opposite, or do something differently."
So going back to the tennis analogy in the first question that you used, you were talking about trying to concentrate by blocking out, thinking about the future or the past, what has happened or what might happen. So there is an element of that in Buddhist mindfulness, if you're talking about it as a method for accepting that what you're doing is inefficient, and the way to actually achieve a better state is to not exercise those.
Well, the difference is, and I think a lot of people are taught mindfulness as just purely a blocking out, temporarily blocking out the problem, but that doesn't develop your wisdom. So a wiser approach is to fully acknowledge the arising of an inefficient thought, to fully see, because they are transient, they don't last. And the beautiful thing is, if you fully acknowledge it, it's like declutching the car. You just come out of that gear, and you're able to say, "Oh, I don't want to be doing that." But so it's not being blocked out; it's being fully accepted. Its nature is to arise and pass away, and it therefore allows the opportunity then, because you've declutched, you're outside that narrative. So if it's worry or anxiety, you're suddenly outside of that worry. You're labelling it as worry, and then it's possible to say, "Yeah, but that doesn't give me anything, it doesn't improve."
So as a lifestyle choice, it's a start. It
yeah,
make you...
I mean, to round it off, you did ask about progress on the path. That is a component, a necessary prerequisite, that somebody has the ability to let go of unwholesome, inefficient, undesirable states of mind. So that in their absence, the mind is calm, it's peaceful, and it's able then to go on to the next stage of development in the Buddhist teaching, which is developing in what we call insight into, the way conscious experience unfolds. So you have to have that ability to be able to get to a lovely, balanced, calm state of mind, which does have elements of mindfulness and concentration in it. So they're both there. So there's no way that somebody can ultimately become free through just improving themselves and improving themselves and improving themselves. There's no end to that. It's like, no matter how good you get something, there's always a tiny little improvement that could be made. So there's a different level of involvement in meditation that isn't about improvement. It's about a more detailed examination of life as it unfolds.